Okay, here we are trying once again to make something on the 3D printer. There you can actually see the dots if it comes into focus. It does like a pattern around the outside of dots, and it's like, is that supposed to be solid? See if I can get down, not get in the way of the machinery. Just discovered I left a screwdriver in the machine too. Okay, I just did a circle. It's doing some lines dotted and some lines solid, and I don't know what's normal. This time I'm trying to do a 10 millimeter bearing mount, just for something to keep it busy. Since the last time I adjusted the current going to the extruder stepper motor for the filament feed. I've also, since the last time, wired up the heat bed. It's the black and red wires there. It's placed in down below someplace to the ribbon cable. And then over here we've got the power supply running it. I kind of cobbled 110 volt power to it. And so hopefully I've got some heat, although I see it's doing the thing it likes to do. It keeps changing my heater to 203 degrees instead of 230. I just fired it back up. I don't know where it gets that setting change or why it changes it. But there you have it. Once again, trying to make a part. It looks like my extrusion is doing a lot better since I adjusted it. There's adjustments on the step stick boards, and I just discovered that the one for the extruder was set all the way to minimum, and I just turned it up to the middle where all the others are set, and hopefully it'll keep extruding enough material to work now. Don't know what else there is to show on my machine. It's a homemade Z-axis motor mount, and notice I had to file for the rod to come in a little bit to the right. I suppose I should put a shim in there to hold it. There's my idler bearing. Over here is the X-axis stepper motor with the drive gear on backwards. And below that is the other Z-axis stepper motor. You can see the Z-axis switch there. It's got a 25 pin plug that I can unplug the whole front assembly with. There's the X-axis stop switch glued on. Out here we've got the Y-axis stepper motor. That belt has a rib on the back side just because I used an old belt off of a plotter or printer or something, scanner. And there's the Y-axis stop switch. I drilled a hole in the mounting bracket to put that on. I'll go back and see how it's doing, and it's doing the diagonal lines to be honest with you, I think we're still short on the feed rate. As in, we're not getting enough material. Because I can see spots that are like dotted instead of being solid. Of course, it's hard for you to see them, huh? Maybe from this angle. By the way, that's a homemade Z-axis or X-axis carriage with 8mm bearings and 1/2-inch pipe straps for the bearing mounts. Yeah, there's no way to get in there and get a good close picture on this. Well, there you can see the fact that some of the lines are a little bit dashed. Which means we're still not getting enough of a feed. Also, it didn't start all the way to the edge. If I looked on the drawing, that is correct. It doesn't start all the way on the edge. I'm putting my hand on the feed and feeling the feed rate. And it's not a continuous step, it's a intermittent step, so. Hey, and there's a question for you. Does anyone know where to get the ribbon cable reinforcement? My ribbon cable is just sitting there on its own. I think I'm using packaging strapping material for it. By the way, those ribbon cables are from old computers. It's my favorite place to get used ribbon cables. Yeah, it's just about done with layer 1. The symptoms I've been seeing is it does layer 1, but each layer is more and more deficit in material until it finally fails. Here, I'll show you an example. This is the 20mm by 20mm box attempt, and as you see in the top layer, it is really deficit in material, whereas if you look at the bottom, you can see it started out with sufficient material, but as it went, the material got less and less until it just basically ran out and started leaving gaps. So the big question will be when we get to layer 2, but I have a feeling we're still not getting enough material. One of the things I don't understand is where in the programming does it specify the filament size, i.e. 1.75 millimeters or 3 millimeters. Because if it's 3 millimeters, it needs, or 1.75 millimeters, it needs to feed in almost twice as fast on the material. Are we done with layer 1? I think it just stepped up, didn't it? So now we're going to do layer 2.